Hey guys, today we're going to look into this Affinity Photo compilation with 10 of your favorite tips and tricks from this year. Let's learn how to show all tools in Affinity Photo version 2. So here I am, and as you can see on the left side are my tools. My screen is a bit too small and I cannot see them all. I need to open this additional menu here, and there are 3 more tools. But actually, under some tools, there are addition tools, like here, and also here, 3 more tools. So how can we show all of the tools? You will need to hit to the top menu and search for View. From here, there's option 2, Customize Tools. After you click on it, you will see all of the tools available in the program. We can also decide to have more than one column. Let's switch to 2 columns. That's nice. What I like to do is I drag this pan tool all the way down. I don't need it here. And instead, I like to put the node tool that helps me to control my curves next to the selection tool. Just like that. If you're coming from Adobe software, that would be a very familiar setup for you. You can also drag this separation line to separate certain tools, and it will be a bit easier for you to navigate if you can separate them by theme. So for example, I got my shape drawing tools here at the bottom, when there's pen tool, shape tool, text tool and wrap tool here, and at the top I got more like raster editing tools with those 2 tools at the top. The left is my move tool and the white one is the node tool for moving certain nodes. Alright, so as you can see, we customize our toolbar, and now I simply close that and it will stay like this. If you want to make any changes again, you can always open it again, View, Customize Tools, and you can even reset them. So let's click Reset, back to 1 column, and we got a default experience once more. Let me show you how to add a simple watermark on your picture in Affinity Photo. We're going to use a text tool, so search for Artistic Text Tool in your tool panel on the left. Then simply tap on your image. It will add new layer automatically. Now you can type whatever you want to type. Your name of your website, whatever you want to put above this image as your watermark. Alright, with simple text like that, it will be quite obvious that we put this watermark here. So let's make it white. To change the color of the font, we can use the font color at the top. By default, it's black, but we can turn it white. We can also adjust the font, so we don't need to stick on with the basic one. You should be able to see all of your fonts from your computer, your machine over here. Alright, so with this white text, now we can also modify the opacity and blending mode. So let's try with blending mode first. We can try with overlay first. Overlay will give us the color from under, so mix this white color with the color under, and this way the watermark is not too strong. It's still there. We can still prove that that's our image, but we can see what is under the watermark. If you feel like the watermark is still too strong, reduce opacity using this slider. If you feel that watermark is too weak, change overlay to hard light and then use the slider. So now we got the white color of the text, and then we make it more transparent. I always try to use overlay as much as I can, because this way we are not ruining like the original colors of the image. If you feel fancy, you can add some text effects using the layer effect panel, like little shadow or something like that, to make this watermark about a little bit easier to read. So let's go with outer shadow just below. We got, white text, so a bit of dark shadow below, and again blend mode overlay, so it's a bit easier to read now with this little shadow but it's not too invasive. We can also reduce that opacity all the way to, let's say, 25. All right, and this way we got a still nice image with the watermark at the corner here. If you want to duplicate that, you can just right click on the layer, duplicate the whole layer, and move the copy of the watermark to another corner to be more secure. Let's say we got 2 watermarks now in both corners, and we are done. To save this new version of your image with the watermark, we can simply click File, and then in the Export menu we can decide how big the image should be and what should be the file format. Now I got this huge image with the JPEG in the best quality. It will take 35 megabytes, so if you want to make it a bit smaller, feel free to reduce the quality to around 80%, and we can reduce the size to around 4000 pixels wide. And now we got only 2 megabytes, so it's way smaller. So if you plan to send it through email or something like that, you want to keep it a bit smaller. And also by making this smaller, you are making it a bit harder for some people to remove your watermark. So if it's really large and pixel dense, some people may use AI and something like that and try to get rid of your watermark. So by making it smaller, you make it a bit harder to do that. All right, now we can click Export, and we are done. Hello there, let's use a background remover brush tool to get rid of the background without erasing the foreground. So there's actually a special mode for eraser tool here in Affinity Photo version 2. So hover your mouse above the eraser tool, click and hold, and you will see there are 3 modes. We want to use the second one, background erase brush. This is a brush tool, so we can control the size of it easily. We can even make it soft or hard using the hardness slider. And you can even experiment with opacity and flow. In my case, I will go with the 100% opacity. I don't want wet edges, so I switch this off. And now we are ready to start erasing the backdrop. So I like to zoom in a bit using my Command Plus shortcut. I zoom in a bit, and the whole trick for this tool is point more than 50% of the tool size outside the foreground. Take a look. When it's on the object, now it's erasing the arm. So 50% or more need to be outside, touching the backdrop like that. And this way, you can remove the backdrop without removing the foreground object. And we did not do any selection. I just opened this picture, and this tool is isolating the backdrop from the foreground for us. That's a really great time saver because we can do that without a precise selection, so we didn't waste 15 minutes selecting the object. All right, take a look. It's especially useful when you got so many small objects out there that you need to isolate. You need to get rid of the backdrop. Take a look. This way I can quickly remove the backdrop around the edge like that. And then you can use a regular eraser tool to get rid of the rest of that even faster. Alright, so background eraser tool is perfect around the edges. When we need to detect the difference between the foreground and the background, it will happen automatically. As I show you, just keep in mind, most of the eraser tool need to pop up and touch the backdrop. And then when you got edge like that, switch to background eraser brush tool. Be sure more than 50% of the brush is touching the backdrop, sampling the backdrop. And this should help you out with erasing the backdrop. Take a look. It took only, what, 1 minute, and we already erased so much backdrop, and we did not destroy the foreground at all. Let me show you how you can change the color of your interface in Affinity Photo. I know some of you guys prefer the light mode, so let's switch that. By default, you will got the dark mode, like I'm got it right now in my desktop version on my Mac. Let's head to Properties. When you click on the name at the top menu, you will see Settings. You will see now the big pop-up box with different categories on the left. can move between them. You can use also the search box at the top. What we need to do, we need to modify the overall interface color. So let's head to user interface. Over here you can switch between dark mode, light mode, or you want to follow your operating system mode. So if you switch your macOS or Windows to light, it will be light, dark, it will be dark automatically. Let's go with the light mode. You can change the font size to large. Nice. And you can also adjust some gray levels as well. So take a look, we got this first slider for the background gray level. And this is the table behind the paper. So I like to keep this a bit darker. So also the artboard gray level, text contrast, and UI brightness. So we can make it even brighter than this if you prefer. All right. You can set a contrast to high, like that, or default. So it will move those sliders automatically for you. I would also move to the next tab called Tools, because from here you can change the tool handle to be small, medium, or large. And you can also modify some settings. So for example, if you like your mouse wheel to zoom in and out, you can turn this on from here as well. How to draw a line in Affinity Photo. So here I am in the desktop version on my Mac. There's no dedicated line tool in our tool panel on the left, but we can use very powerful pen tool over here, this one. And thanks to this tool, we can easily draw a line. If you need a straight line, click at the beginning of the line and then simply click again. You can keep drawing this line, and each time you click, you will have a new segment of that line. By default, this tool was designed to draw a shape, so to close the line and eventually get a shape. But that's not the only use. We can just draw part of it, so we're drawing the line, as you can see here. And then, if you are ready, you can click Escape and finish drawing the line. You don't need to close the shape each time. If you want to draw just a single line, make a starting point and then hold Shift. This way you can maintain the line perfectly straight. And here's your line. Now press Escape and you are done drawing the line. You can move the line around. You can even copy and paste the very same line if you need a duplicate. We can also use the pen tool to draw a curvy line. Take a look. If you press and hold and modify the first point, then you can press, and I keep holding my mouse down and I can decide about the curve of this line. So we can make curved lines as well with the pen tool. If you want to go back to the previous node, you can hit backspace on your keyboard like that. And we are done with this curvy line as well. So there's no dedicated tool for drawing lines, but we can use the pen tool to make any line we need, whatever you need, straight lines, by just clicking. Or maybe you need curvy lines, so you click and hold, click and hold, click and hold. You can do both. To maintain a perfect line, hold Shift. Let me teach you how you can remove, cut out any unwanted objects from your pictures using Affinity Photo. So here I am in Affinity Photo for desktop, but the process is rather similar on the iPad version as well. The tool we are going to use is called In-Painting Brush. I cannot see it right now, so I head down to Healing Tools. I open the whole group of healing tools. At the very top, you got Healing Brush tool. Switch to In-Painting Brush tool. As the name says, it's a brush tool, so we can change the size of it using the slider over here. I will keep opacity on 100%, hardness on 80 will do. Alright, we got just one layer, so I select that layer, and now I'm going to paint over the object I want to remove. At first you will see this red color. That's indicating that this is the selected area for removal. I'm painting over this pooping dog, and now I remove this by releasing my mouse button. Take a look, it's gone, but there's no like empty hole here. It was replaced with the backdrop. So this tool tried to scan the backdrop around the object and put a similar texture and colors in it. As you can see, it duplicates part of this grass, so I'm going to just touch it one more time to be sure it's not exact duplicate. It's not too obvious that I removed something here, and the dog is gone. So the easiest way to get rid of unwanted objects is your trusty in-painting brush. Let me show you how you can simply crop a passport-like image photo from a regular photo. Before we jump in, keep in mind, passport pictures may have a different sizes depends on the country you are in. So please don't just rush to the comment section to correct me. Double check what is the common passport size in your region. For example, in the States, it's 2 × 2, so that's exactly square image. We're talking about inches, but in Europe and Schengen passports, that's 35 × 45. So definitely not a square, and that's in millimeters, all right? So double check what's the size of your image. Size is one thing, and second thing is, if you are dealing with biometric passports, they are really strict about image quality. It's extremely hard to crop a regular image, not only about the size, but also you looking into the camera in certain ways, your hairstyle in certain ways, the backdrop lighting, and all of that stuff matters for them. So I will highly recommend to just go to some photographer to snap a brand new picture for your passport. But I'm guessing you are here to get a passport-like image, something that looks a bit like a passport image. You can stick it on your resume, your CV, put on your profile, LinkedIn. So we are not that strict about biometric value of that image. All right, with that said, let's just get started. I will use the European size today, so 35 × 45. Here's the image. Then select the crop tool, and at the very top we will need to type the size we need. But as you can see right now, it's in pixels. What we can do is we can click cancel first. Let's go for the view, and we're going to turn on rulers, so we can see those rulers at the top and on the left. At the corner here you can see px, so px pixels. Let's right click on it and change from pixels to millimeters. That's what I'm going to use today. Okay, let's jump back to the crop tool. Now we can change this to custom ratio. Our ratio is 35 × 45. All right. Now with that we can move this around, even scale it down, because the ratio is exactly as we set up before. So ratio is stick to that, and now I can scale it all the way down. I can move it. You can even do a gentle rotation if your original image is not straight. Take a look. We can straighten it right now. I'm going to do that to straighten the eye line. So I add rotation as well. All right. And it should be something like this, I guess. I hit enter or apply the blue button at the top, and here's my new image. Let's zoom in a bit. All right, so right now the image is actually still there. So if you unlock the layer and use the move tool, you can see that the whole image is still there. The best way to reduce the size of this file will be to right click on the layer and use something resize and trim to this new ratio. And here it is. Now we got this image in the new ratio. You could literally copy that, bring it to a brand new A4 page, paste it right here. Then by sizing this down, you can size it to exactly size you need using the transform box at the top right. You can type the size from here. So width should be 35, height is 45, that's correct. And with that, we got a proper passport image that we can copy and paste. We can copy by pressing Command and simply moving the image. And this way we can quickly create passport-like images from the bigger pictures. So that's one way. You can also go here and check the original size of this image. So you can go for document and you can resize the document. Right now it's way bigger, but it's in the correct ratio already. So we just simply changing the size from here, 35 times 45, resize. And it's way smaller now. As you can see, the pixels appear here because nobody will zoom in that close. So that's the image that you can now export. So file, export, and you can save it as JPEG or you can save it as PNG as well. Keep in mind, it's really small now because we set up the small size. I will actually undo to have it a bit bigger. The ratio is correct. And now we can use that to put it into your resume, your profile image, or whatever you need. If you want to smooth out the backdrop, be sure the layer is unlocked and then search for a tool in the healing group called In-Painting Brush Tool. So with In-Painting Brush Tool, I will try to get rid of the shadow here so the background is more unified. All right, way better. It's not just a straight line. Not perfect, but way better. All right, so that's how we can crop a regular image into a passport-like size. Keep in mind, nowadays modern passport got so many requirements for biometrics, so I will not risk preparing that stuff at home. Let's go and take a proper picture for a new passport, but you can still use this kind of image online for places that do not require some strict biometric stuff like I mentioned already, your resume or LinkedIn profile and stuff like that. In this quick tutorial, I will show you how we can remove text from an image using Affinity Photo version 2. As you can see, this is a flat image. The text is kind of just part of this photo here, so we cannot like remove the layer with the text. That's not the case. So what can we do? Let's start by selecting the text. In my case, the text is black and the background is rather bright, so I could try to just simply use the magic wand. So if you got good contrast between the text and the backdrop, use this flat selection tool. Let's use the add mode so we can add all of the letters. So I click on the first letter, second, third, and I managed to select all of the letters. Now we want to expand this selection. We want to make this selection a bit larger. So let's head to select, grow or shrink. And in our case, we move the grow slider to the right to make this selection larger than the original. All right, maybe extra 60 pixels around will do. Apply. With this selection around the text now, we can try to fill this area with content aware in painting. So let's do that. Edit, fill. From here, select in painting. Now the program will try to analyze the backdrop around your text and try to put some very similar colors and texture inside that selected area. Apply. Now we can deselect. After this fill operation is over, we can deselect. So select, deselect, and that's what we get here. Definitely way better than a black text here. It's hard to say the text was here before, but to add a finishing touches, we can also select in painting brush tool and use a small brush with 50% hardness to make kind of like finishing touches if you got some kind of sharp textures. All right, I think that will do. Nice. Let's zoom out. And we cannot even tell the text was here at the first place. Keep in mind, This method will depend on the backdrop. So if your background is rather smooth, like sky, grass, water, wall of the building, it should be fine. If your backdrop is really complex, the program may not be able to handle that. So it all depends on the results of your in-painting field. How to save your Affinity Photo project as JPEG. By default, if you create a project in Affinity Photo and then you try to save it using File, Save, you will be saving it as a native Affinity Photo file. So if you're going to send it to somebody, they need to have Affinity Photo. So you will have to export your project into JPEG in order to be accessible to everybody. To do that, simply go down to Export. So instead of saving it, go to Export. And from here, we can select any format we want. Can be PNG, can be JPEG as well. There's a size of our artboard here and the quality. I usually use 85 or 90% to make it really nice. Then click Export. And the file was saved on my drive as a JPEG. Hey guys, today I need to address a very popular question about Affinity Photo. Where is the Android version? Actually, there's no Android version right now. If you head to the official website, you can see there's a desktop version and there's also an iPad version. If you go all the way down here to the price of the program, you can see there are three options: macOS, Windows and iPad. So whatever you see, Android version, free download and stuff like that, don't do that. You're probably going to download some kind of virus. There's no Android version. There's no some fan-made Android port. There's nothing like that. And unfortunately, the company didn't even comment on the possibility of bringing the software to the Android right now. So there's nothing to hope for this year, I think. Nothing announced. So January 2024, no Android version in plans so far. So stay away from those fake downloads and I will see you in the next how-to video.